dark on us.
Yeah, we're live. But Matt, we need you to put some more light on you. You
You look like
with your high yellow self. You're looking a little dark. Okay, all right.
he in witness protection.
Well, maybe he is. I don't know. Hey guys, how are you? Hey Cameron.
Hey, what's up, Sybil? What's up, Damon? I'm doing pretty well over here. It warmed up a little bit today. We got some rain today. Be careful out there, everybody. It is quite slippery. If you slip in fall, you might get a chuckle out of me.
Okay.
Right.
like most comedians. And Damon, how are you?
It's good, as he stated. It's warmed up to freezing.
Okay, all right, that's a
Got
step.
a balmy 31 degrees today. So, but a lot of people have been having like frozen pipe issues, and
Yeah,
like even my sump pump pipe is frozen, so I couldn't even use it. So hopefully, I was just letting it thaw out before I had to call somebody.
right, right. Did you guys have fog the way we had today too?
It's predicted to come through.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Because of the
yeah,
melting and the temperature. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the
yeah.
rising
It
temperature.
feels like it out there.
Wow. It was quite foggy this morning when I woke up and I thought it was just dark. And I went back to sleep. But it was the fog stayed with us for the most part. And the temperatures haven't been bad in the 30s and 40s. How's life in Atlanta, Ned?
Yeah, it warmed up today too. It warmed up and feels a lot better than it has the last few days. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, we had a bit of a freeze, and they said this was the second, and we might have another one next week. But for the most part, it's still pretty close to 50 degrees here today. Just dreary and overcast.
But what
A
a
little bit.
luxury after all those years on the morning show to be able to just go back to sleep.
Okay, so when I do get up at 3 o'clock, I don't go, oh damn. I get up at 3 o'clock, and I wake up, and I go, okay, let's try to go back to sleep now, shall we?
Yeah,
Huh, huh.
yeah,
Hmm.
No 6 a.m. call, huh?
Well, the 6 a.m. comes because I do Erica Campbell get up mornings on Tuesday morning. So that is the 6 o'clock call, Cameron. But
Mhm.
that 3 o'clock, whew, yeah. Knowing that
Yeah.
you can go back and catch a couple of more, yeah.
that
That's a
thing's
good morning
terrible.
for you.
I've been there. I have been there. Ugh.
I know you feel.
I know. And it used to be hard for me, and I only had to go to the basement. I was like, oh,
And,
oh,
right, and people
Yeah,
down
always
these
say,
stairs.
"Oh, you're used to it." I tell you,
No.
Nah, you never
there's
get used to it.
never,
no.
there's never used to it. Like I always tell people, the worst thing in the world is panicking at 6 p.m.
Right,
from a nap.
right.
There's nothing. I have ran out my door in a panic, gotten into my car, and
Uh-huh.
realized that it was in the afternoon and not the morning. It is the worst feeling in the world. That 6 p.m. panic
I'm
of a
telling
nap.
Yeah.
you, there's nothing like I used to do complete overnight. I did an overnight jock shift from midnight to 5, and I worked the morning show doing news from 5 to 10. And then, if I was lucky, I could come home and take a nap. And I'm telling you, man, that is the God's honest truth because you wake up in the middle of the afternoon and you go, oh my God, I'm late. Where am I? What time is it? So
You
It's
have
almost
no
as bad.
idea.
It's almost as bad as when you wake up at that woman's house. You let me go to sleep? You knew I couldn't go to sleep over here.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But you look so peaceful.
Yeah.
I ain't now.
Yeah.
I'm about to look permanent because I'm about to have to move over here.
That is the truth. Oh, those are the days. Those were
As we
the
lay,
days.
it's morning.
Oh shoot!
Absolutely,
There goes my life. Oh, geez, Louise.
man.
Well, welcome in, everyone. I'm glad everybody is here. Thank you for joining us, those of you who are watching, those of you who are listening. And I do want to encourage you all to please to continue to stay with us on our evening shows. That is Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 on the West Coast. And for those of you who are watching in Australia, hey, George Wallace, it's the next day. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Good day.
Yeah, good day, mate. But we also would like you to subscribe to our What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our Monday through Friday newsletter in which we seek to inform and empower our African American readers and leaders out there and talking about subjects that are of interest to our folks. And Khameron has a great interview. It's coming, I promise you. We've had to cancel and we had to move some things around for today's newsletter with the unfortunate news about the passing of Dexter King, the youngest son of the family of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King. Dexter King was 62 years old, and he died after a battle against prostate cancer. So this is the third week we are talking about prostate cancer and Black men. The first week we talked about the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin. Last week we talked with my friend Brian Custer, who has successfully survived prostate cancer. And now we have the story of Dexter King, who succumbed to prostate cancer at the much too young age of 62. He leaves with his memory, his wife of 11 years, Leah, his brother, Martin Luther King III, and his younger sister, the Reverend Dr. Bernice King. And so that's the story that we shot to the top of the headlines. And I don't know if you guys have the same kind of feeling, and maybe you do, Med, being in Atlanta, but this was our family. And to see, a collective of people and being invested in many ways in the King family. And when I was writing out the story yesterday and giving those who preceded him in death, his father in 1968, his mother, I believe, was 2007, and his sister was 2008, his older sister, Yolanda. So it was Yolanda, Martin III, Dexter, and Bernice is the way that came. Now there's 2 of the 6 remaining.
Yeah, no, down here, definitely it's different. It's different because the King, the King legacy, the King memorial here is like it's like 2 or 3 blocks. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the memorial, but there's the whole surrounding area of the church. Everything is his home. Everything is in Atlanta is King, And so when you see the news of his passing, it's a little bit more than just, Martin Luther King's, son passed away. No, it's Dexter King, and you're getting a full rundown of his life. Because to be honest, I think for most people, when they see him, they're like, that's the one that looked just like Martin.
Exactly.
Right? It's been the image of Martin. Right. But he's not the one that's always front and center. Mm-hmm. He's the one that, you see the third, Martin Luther King III, you see Bernice all the time. Dexter's kind of in the background a little bit.
He was always, as a matter of fact, so much to the back, Med, he lived in California.
Malibu, yeah.
He was in Malibu, and where he lived out his life. And so that's true. But to see them chronicled on Atlanta news programs, the life of the King family. And as you said, he was a spitting image of his father.
Right.
And all of the women that I have talked to, yesterday and today, we all like Dexter, because he was such a good looking man. And, he had that movie star kind of look to him.
Yeah, no, it was funny because I saw Jesse Jackson Jr. talk about him. And I don't know.
That's what I should have called. Yeah.
The age difference between them. But like he had posted a picture because just of how close the families were.
Right.
So like him and Dex, like that's a friend of his. It's not just, it's like sometimes we put these people in a certain like air, untouchable. And I thought Jesse Jackson Jr. did a great job of kind of humanizing them and humanizing the family to the point where I think the picture of either Martin, and that's how much they look alike. I don't know if it's Martin or Dexter pushing him in the swing. That's why I'm like, what's the age gap between him and Dexter?
Right.
Because it was somebody that looked like Martin Luther King pushing him in the swing. And so, it's just humanizing him. And the reports on the news, you saw friends of his growing up talking about him, and it was just like, it is like, man, we had a good time. I'm like, hey. Hey,
Yeah.
We were boys. Yeah.
Hey, Damon, you probably had some friends that you don't want them. No, I don't need them to talk about me on the news.
I tell you, he and Eddie Murphy were friends, and Eddie had when Raw came out, I have a bootleg copy of Eddie's tour leading up to Raw, which they omitted some of the things. And he said, he had a joke about it, which I'll paraphrase. He said, Martin Luther King has a son that walks and talks and looks just like him, but it's weird to hear something coming out of his voice. I mean, Martin Luther King's voice coming out of somebody in a club talking about, Eddie, if I'm lucky, we might get some booty tonight. But he does the whole Martin Luther King impersonation of Dexter hanging out at the club with him. And I'll let you all see that off air at one point, and I'll post it after his memorial. Because I had this copy and I posted some of it on YouTube, and somebody stole it and compiled it. But anyway, he was a human being. He was definitely a spitting image of his father, and it's just like I'm sure for the other people when one of the kidneys passes, it's just like our royal family to lose one of the kings.
It truly is. And Khameron, I don't know about you, but it did have that kind of same effect for you that it did some of us who may have been a little closer in age or closer in distance.
Well, yeah, during the King Week, I was going to do like an article about all of King's children. I decided against it and went for like the article on like white moderates instead. But when I was looking up Dexter, it became obvious to me that Dexter inherited all of Martin Luther King's charisma, and all of his social acumen. Back when Martin Luther King was very much like just like a pool shooting city slicker. Not to mention, Dexter was 7 when King was assassinated, and he spent all of his life looking like the splitting image of his dad, having to like live up to that. I mean, imagine the imposter syndrome. You look just like, the most important figure in the Black community. Everyone has stories about him and interacting with him, and you're kind of expected to carry that on, but you virtually have no idea who the man is.
And you had to hate Black History Month at school.
Oh yeah.
Everybody wanted him to play Dr. King in all the school plays, I'm sure.
And do the speeches, right? Yeah. And the irony is that he died 1 week after his father's birthday. And next week would have been his 63rd birthday. So he and his dad were right in there together. And as you said, he was 7. And to follow your father's footsteps, to even go to Morehouse and all that life entailed, and especially as a Morehouse man in the 70s and 80s, as opposed to when Dr. King was there. And in your family's backyard, that's a lot put on you. And he did maintain his steadfastness to keeping the King family their rights to the intellectual property of the Kings within the family, and that there was a lot that grew out of that. But he was very, very, very dedicated to that.
And it's even more so, I guess, pressure on Martin III. To be like his father. So that's hard too, growing up being Martin Luther King at school. So God bless the King family and all of this.
Amen. And may his memory be a blessing to all of his family. I was, I'm really glad you mentioned that about Jesse Jackson Jr. I'm going to reach out to him because I have reached out to several other people just to try to get them to talk about it. But I think that's a fascinating thing too, to have the name and, to have a career in politics the way Jesse Jr. had. and understand that and grow up in that kind of dynamics. That's fascinating to me.
I
Should
mean,
always
because
reach out to Eddie too.
Right.
If you want Dexter King After Dark, all right.
Right. Yeah, that's a whole nother programming decision, right? What were you gonna say there, Med?
No, I mean, being, living in Chicago and knowing the Jackson family, when it comes to just how the kids are looked at, like, I'm great. I have a great relationship with Santita, and she don't call her father daddy. She called that man Reverend.
That's
what I'm saying? And
that's what they all call him. Yeah,
they all call him Reverend. And so to know their dynamic. I feel like it's something similar to how the Kings kind of look at their father, look at their parents, because that's how I've always seen. I've been around the Jackson family a lot, and to see how they interact with each other, it was so unique to me, and so it kind of gives you an insight of what's it like being around some of these civil rights icons, and just seeing how the family structure and dynamic is. It's very interesting.
And it makes you wonder how the baby's doing. All right, so
and on the other side of that, the Kings always reference their father as daddy. He was always daddy to them. He was not Reverend King.
Yeah, as adults, they called him dad for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That was important to them. It's really interesting. That whole thing is very interesting. And the other thing looking at today is the New Hampshire primary results. It looks like the polls, if they haven't already closed, are closing any minute now as I'm looking up at the television. And any thoughts on the way the Republican primary is going and what has happened over the last couple of days with Ron DeSantis pulling out of the race and then endorsing, Donald Trump and talking about, how we all have to, up to that point, you had to kiss the ring and you had to follow along in Donald Trump's footsteps. And he ended up doing just that. He came out, he kissed the ring and endorsed Donald Trump, just as Vivek Ramaswamy did, just as Tim Scott did, just as, and we can go on down the line, all those that pulled out, with the exception of Asa Hutchinson, the former governor of Arkansas, as well as Chris Christie, former governor of New Jersey. And all the rest have falling in line, and they endorsed Nikki Haley. And so what is going to happen? Is she going to, just hazarding a guess, do you think that she will make enough of an indentation into Donald Trump's votes today that will make a difference and keep her in the race? Or is it over after tonight?
No, it's a wrap.
Really?
It's done.
Okay.
That man has done absolutely nothing but do rallies and has wiped away all the challengers. It's done, because the thing is, he never. It's almost like he's the incumbent. It was really never a race for the Republicans.
Yeah, mentally, to some of them, he is the incumbent.
You're absolutely right, for real. And the thing is, if you go back to when Trump got elected the first time, it's almost the same playbook. He really hasn't had to do much, because the media gave him all the time in the world,
got all that free time
until they realized, wait a minute, he has a chance. And then after that, at that point, once he had that momentum, it was a wrap. He wiped everybody out. It wasn't even close.
That horse was out of the barn.
It was done. And so now that's just a continuation of that. You have people who, again, think he didn't lose the election. So he is sitting back. He has all these indictments all over the place. The man, like I said, none of that really matters unless he gets charged and thrown in jail before he gets elected.
And the likelihood of that happening is slim to none.
Slim to none. And in my mind, and if it's Biden versus Trump, I'm sorry to tell y'all, I don't see Biden winning it. I really don't.
Well, I'm hoping that your vision, Swami, is wrong. But
me too.
But because I can't imagine this country in a second term of Donald Trump. I honestly can't. But here's the other thing. I want to continue this conversation. We're going to move into what's really going on. And I wanted to talk entertainment, but this is entertainment for me. And I want to get all of your thoughts on this. Right now, Nikki Haley is doing pretty well, but it's still, as I mentioned, the polls have not even closed yet. They're still about a half hour from closing. But I do want to get your thoughts on that. So just from your standpoint there, Damon, what do you think?
I think that the Republican Party is not ready for a woman or Nikki Haley. There's so many misogynistic, closed-minded people in that MAGA party, and some of the women more so than the men. You know, they want to see a strong leader, and they think he's a strong man. And he even used the term "strong man," which we know alludes to dictatorship. But that's how convinced they are that this guy will be the savior, and he'll come back in and set the ship right. And they feel like anything that went wrong in their lives in the last 4 years was because they didn't have their grand exalted leader. So I think he has a stronghold on that party, and I think the women and some black people are going to convert to Trump, unfortunately.
And Khameron, today, watching people come out of the polls after having cast their votes, and one woman amongst many said, "And he was sent from God to save us." Those
and then there's
her
that.
words.
There's that as well. But see, the problem is, and I just saw it in the comments, is that the black vote. And of course, if we as black people all decide to go out and vote, whoever we vote for typically wins. If we go out in mass to vote, right. The problem is there's a lot of black people that don't like Biden, who don't feel really comfortable with the Democratic Party. And when they don't feel like that, they decided to stay home. We don't care because we don't like either one of them. So we're going to stay our butts at home, which then plays into the hands of the Republicans.
My hope, and can I just say this, Khameron, and because I do want to hear from you. My hope is that the black female vote will overrule that lack of response from black men. My hope is that the black women, who are the significant foundation of one of the pillars of the Democratic Party, will overcome all of that and wipe out the losses that they get from black men and my black female cousin. Go ahead, Khameron. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, politics is a game of statistics and predictions. And statistically speaking, white America is still very fired up. Since 2020, statistically speaking, the Democrats have been trying to drum up enough anger over the overturning of Roe v. Wade and then pinning it on the Republicans to hopefully give Biden just like that new foundation of support in case black people don't show up in 2024. I think Donald Trump's had this in the bag, or at least the Republican nomination, since the beginning. He's been very smart in avoiding all debates, because I don't even think he can even last that long standing up straight.
No.
And the ugliness in Trump comes out when you pit him against a woman. And he's been trying to keep his reputation as nebulous as possible. So he was right to avoid Nikki Haley in a showdown in New Hampshire. I feel like black people have become so jaded with the amount of just obvious corruption and obvious manipulation that had been going on the past 4 years, with the redistricting and the rezoning and the marginalizing of voting rights. I mean, it's going to take some new blood activists to really get people up and out of the house to vote again in the fall. If we do show up in mass, we can definitely turn the tide, as Ben mentioned. Whichever horse we back usually wins. But voters of color can really go either way, and how they got us was just splitting the ideologies of the women and the men. Even Latino men and Latino women don't vote the same anymore. I mean, migrants are voting against each other now. So it is going to
don't get the Israeli-Palestinian conversation started.
Oh yeah, I mean Biden's
right?
actions in Israel have like turned off a lot of young voters, man.
Yeah,
I mean to a point where like people just aren't going to vote. And
right.
the way that I spin it to people is like this: if the election is the sacrosanct process that determines who runs the government, not voting doesn't mean you have a say in who runs the government
Right.
anymore.
Right. Yeah.
That's
And
just not how it works.
and that's a conversation we have to keep having. Staying home is not the option. If
Yeah.
you have a if you
You're
have
not proving nothing.
right, right.
Right.
You're not proving
Exactly.
nothing. It's like you're trying to be
I'll
petty.
show
Oh, I ain't
them.
no.
Yeah, we're showing them
showing.
how stupid this is by staying home.
Right. Yeah, I
You're
mean,
not
like,
a part of the
what,
process, you're part of the problem.
what did Matt Gaetz say? He's like, he's not worried about the Karens because they got the Julios and Jamals coming to vote for them now.
Okay.
It's like
okay.
this is how they're talking. Oh, you haven't heard? You didn't hear him say it? Yeah, he said that.
Oh, I
he
didn't
said
hear
that
it.
out loud. He said, we're not worried about
He
if
said
we lose the
that part out
Karens
loud.
because we have the Julios and Jamals coming. And I'm just like, wow.
Well, I hope the Karens hear that.
I hope the Karens do hear that, and especially those that are the college educated Karens, whatever their stance is, and especially as you know today, the big push was towards reproductive freedoms, and so the Karens have proven that, and I don't want to call them Karens that the white women have proven that they are concerned about what has happened with the overturning of Roe versus Wade, and they have made a difference in the individual states, such as Kansas, right. And so they are showing that there is power there. Virginia showed it with their legislative races last year, their legislative elections last year, and so all of these things are working for the good, but people are saying, do I really want to vote for Joe Biden? Well, what are our choices? Are our choices Robert Kennedy Jr.? Are our choices Marianne Williamson? Are our choices Cornel West, Dr. West? Are those legitimate third party choices? And I contend that that's not going to be the answer. Not
and I even spin it to people like this. Okay, you don't want to vote for you don't believe in the executive office. Fine. I mean, if anything, we knew since the Obama days that the executive office has become the weakest office in the system of checks and balances. We've got a very strong legislature, very strong conservative Supreme Court. So if you don't want to vote for a president, fine, but you should vote anyway.
Because who appoints those judges?
Right. Yeah. You should
right.
vote anyway.
I mean, we would not have a Black female Supreme Court justice if we did not have Joe Biden. If we'd had that, if we still had Donald Trump in the White House, there would have been another conservative. So that would have been 7 people to 2.
Sybil, and let me push back on that because we had Barack Obama who had what 2.
Well,
and he couldn't, and they got blocked.
And the reason for that was because he got blocked. And that is the reason that we have to vote for the executive as well as the legislative. It has to be a 1, 2, 3 punch in all of those. And especially in this House that doesn't want to do anything because, they're so conservative. They don't want to make any kind of bipartisan decisions or agreements to keep the government running. They don't want to make any bipartisan agreements in terms of aid to Ukraine or Israel or policing bills or anything. They don't want to do that. And so what's our answer? Go to work?
Yeah.
What's our answer? We have to put people in who represent our interest and have them work with those in the White House.
It's tough.
It is tough, but we got to do it.
I've always been, concerned that you don't really vote for a person, you're voting for party. But I've never liked the party system of these really aren't, you're not really voting for individual people or what they stand for. You're basically voting just for a color, blue or red. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Blue's going to do this, red's going to do that. Instead of having like individuals going in there to kind of represent themselves and their district or whatever, you're basically just saying, hey, just vote for everyone that's blue, and then if you or if you want Republican, just vote for everybody that's red. And that's always bothered me. But when you see how our government works, it's the only way to do it.
Med, they understood how that worked in Georgia in 2020. Look at the flip that state made and the difference that it made in who entered the White House, regardless of whether they thought it was right or wrong, and how desperate that occupant of the White House was to flip 11,780 votes.
Whew. Yeah.
Yep. Well, the thing about us
it's not going to work.
That we can take solace in as a people, we've been resilient through all the administrations. So even if it comes to the worst, we will get through this. But I think we should be planning for the next election, even beyond this election right now, because
I'm looking at Canada. Although Canada is cutting off foreign students because they're having a housing problem.
Yeah, you might want to look at the Bahamas or Jamaica or Venezuela. It's got to be some vacancies in Venezuela.
Venezuela cannot be the answer with that guy either.
Nope.
Michael Stallworth said, to Sybil's point, think of why the GOP locks in with Trump, even when they recoil over his antics, because they play the long game and have their agenda in mind. And that is what has happened. The agenda has been, they are playing chess while the rest of us are playing checkers and just hoping to, hopscotch over the other players. They have been for 50 years. They worked in concert in state and in federal government to put the right people in place to overturn Roe versus Wade. And that's and we kept thinking, oh, it'll never happen. It's a constitutional law. And look how wrong we were.
Yeah. I have to say that President Trump, because over my lifetime, I could I've argued that the president really doesn't affect my day-to-day life too much. You know what I'm saying? But then when President Trump got in, I was like, man, this man really flipped a lot of things upside down. Just with how things work and how things are going in the Supreme Court, because we've never seen anything like that. A president getting three
consecutive conservative justices in a row.
No one's ever seen that before. So I'm just like, that was the first time you can tangibly see the effect of a president being in office, of a certain president being in office, or a Republican or a Democrat. Outside of that, for me, I can't remember, of a time where it's like, man, if it went this way or it went this way, the whole world would be different. I can't think of a time where it affected me personally, like Trump being in office.
Right. And think about this. They talk about the fact that what has he done for us lately? Well, going through a pandemic and knowing the people's lives that were saved with the payments that were made to families over the months and months that we lived through a pandemic, the child tax credits and other things where he, sought to save businesses so that people could keep their jobs and things like that. That never would have happened in the Trump administration because he was so pro-business. He would have gone right along with those business companies, owners of corporations that would said, no, we want your money. We want the federal government money, but it's not going to trickle down. We promise that it will, but it won't trickle down to the people who really need it. And that's why people like Jamie Dimon are still making a gazillion dollars in bonuses. and closing banking institutions as we speak.
Yeah, I mean, there's also just like an international, it's like an international politics at play here that is at stake in 2024. There's a lot of foreign relations that are still very tense, and should Donald Trump get into office, who's to say how the war in Ukraine is going to go?
Right.
Who's to say how our relations with like China are going to go? There's
Russia,
a lot of things.
China, and North Korea.
Yeah, things are still very tense geopolitically now, and we could use like a very mentally stable person in the White House. The military.
It ain't gonna be pretty if he go back into office and has to deal with all them people. It ain't gonna be pretty for the world, because he's pro-Russia.
He's a snuggle buddy.
The man is pro-dictatorship. So it's gosh.
I know.
No clue.
I know. So thank you for indulging me. I really do want to talk about the Oscar nominations, but perhaps we'll get to
Okay.
that in the entertainment segment because it was an interesting Oscar nomination day. And congratulations to Adrian Beltre, who went into the Baseball Hall of Fame today. Congratulations to him. In trending, let's move to trending topics. As we mentioned, this is the first primary in the nation that for the state of New Hampshire. And even though the Democratic Party chose to make the first primary and move that to South Carolina in acknowledgement of what a boost President Biden got from South Carolina in 2020, the Republicans went ahead and maintained their Republican primary. And Donald Trump and Nikki Haley are going as she wanted, one-on-one. Right now, they're looking at Donald Trump with about 5% of the vote in. Donald Trump is easing past Nikki Haley, and the curious thing is, who's going to be his number two?
Right.
Nikki.
No.
No.
I hope, and I'm not a Nikki Haley fan, but I do like that. She's still giving him, giving the 1-2 punches. But I do hope that she does not accept it because of the way, he has denigrated and pulled the birther card and done all of this nonsense that he did with Cruz, and then Cruz came right on in and snuggled up with him. That's not the way to do it. But I do think his snuggle buddy could be Tim Scott of South Carolina.
Oh gosh.
Newly engaged.
Newly engaged.
Yeah, yep. Got himself a white woman and
with 3 kids.
And he doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to touch her. But that is the case of what is happening. He got, all of a sudden this woman showed up at the last debate that he was performing in. And then over the weekend, he gets engaged. He endorses Donald Trump. He goes out there and speaks for Donald Trump last night in New Hampshire. And now,
what does that engagement speech even sound like? Will you marry me? Will you marry me? I love you.
Cameron's been over. Oh man.
I don't want to think about anything regarding their personal lives. I just gotta erase that out of my head.
I saw in the comments that somebody said Sarah Huckabee, she came out and said she don't want that. She leave her alone.
She don't want any of that smoke. She's so happy being the governor of Arkansas and them not even realizing that she is the governor of Arkansas.
Don't even know.
No.
Don't even know.
They think her dad is back being governor. No, they don't care. No.
They didn't even have to change the portraits.
Right. Did all of you guys have measles growing up?
I did.
Do you remember?
I believe I had measles and chickenpox.
I did too, yeah.
None of them.
I had shingles once.
You had shingles. Okay.
Yeah,
wow. You're young.
Yeah, that was not fun.
No, shingles are. I've had shingles too, and it's the worst. Measles and shingles are a part of the chicken pox virus in you. Measles was officially declared eradicated in the U.S. more than 20 years ago, but there are new outbreaks of the measles disease, and they're popping up. And experts are saying declining vaccination rates are jeopardizing the herd immunity and increasing the risk. In Philadelphia, they say some cases, 10 cases, were reported after a cluster started in a hospital. It started in the hospital and spread to other medical facilities and a daycare center. It's highly contagious and potentially deadly virus that causes a telltale rash. According to data from the Pennsylvania Department of Health, during 2021-22 school year, 94.3% of the kindergartners in Philadelphia County were fully vaccinated with the MMR vaccine. That is measles, mumps, and rubella. Last year, that dropped to 92.8% and below the 95% needed for the herd immunity. So you get all these kids together and they will get the measles and the herd immunity or develop an immunity to all of this and keep it moving. So like Med, you probably developed an immunity to this during your childhood, and now it won't affect you. Did your kid ever get measles?
No, no measles. I've never had measles. I've never had chicken pox. I haven't
Are
had
you
any of it.
human?
Man, look,
Right.
when my sister got chicken pox, my mom made me sleep in her bed for
Right.
the entire week, and I never got it. Never got it. And I was like, what are we doing? And then my dad a couple years ago got shingles, and I was like, hey man, when I saw him, I'm like, hey, did you get into a fight? Did you fall down? What's going on?
Right.
No, I think I got shingles. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't think I'm supposed to be around you right now, because I've
Right.
never had anything. So
Wow.
I'm just like, so I think I'm immune to it. So I've been around it, and I've never had anything. I've gotten COVID, but that's about it.
Okay, you win. Okay, Khameron,
And
you grew up in a family.
hopefully you don't have any repressed memories from that week you spent with your parents.
I'm just like, why do I gotta stay in the bed with her? She's all bumpy and she's scratching herself, and I'm just like, oh.
Your mother made you sleep with the sister with the chickenpox?
Yeah, she made me sleep. Yeah, to catch it, and I never caught it.
Wow.
So strange. Wow.
Khameron, did you ever have that where with one of your sisters would get it and then it kind of would spread, or no, since you only got shingles?
Yeah, I mean, the order of operations usually is that one of my sisters will get sick, and then another one will get sick, and then like maybe my grandparents will get sick. My mom and I are usually like the last to get sick. I just blame it on me being vegetarian. I eat more vegetables. But yeah, when something outbreaks in the house, it'll whoosh through the whole house very quickly. Chickenpox was no exception. We did like the oatmeal bath. I remember doing the oatmeal bath. Yeah,
I used to hate those. Oh my gosh. Oh geez, I hated those more than anything. I don't know why. Just so disturbing to just.
Oatmeal. I love.
I can't eat oatmeal to this day. So I remember getting, I think it was measles when I was like 7, and coming home from an event, and my mom looked at me and go, "Oh my gosh, what is going on?" And determined that I did have the measles. And then they had to go back to where I'd been the day before and the day before that, and I'd been at a friend's baby shower.
Ooh.
And so my mom had to call this woman who was having the baby and tell her that she may have been exposed to me. And now I've come down with measles. And so you have to be very careful, obviously, pregnant women in that situation. But and it's not something we even talk about anymore. But I just remember feeling such immense guilt because, they over explained why this was so dangerous. And I just had tremendous guilt that, having, perhaps given this woman measles and could damage her, for life. And perhaps
shout out to your mom doing the contact tracing.
Yeah, she had to do, and that was contact tracing
original.
that, we just didn't think about, back in that day and time. It's like just go get in the bath, and
Mama had a plan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But that was the school teacher in her too, because they had to do, a lot of that stuff with their students. But it's really scary that, first of all, people are not getting vaccinated or vaccinating their children because of the fears of what that is, right? As well as the fact that they don't like all of the fears that what these vaccines can do to your children. But it can also, and I contend, can also help people and perhaps even save lives. But that's just me. What do I know? And my children are never going to be of a threat to you. So, there's that. So the other thing I want to talk about is the movie situation. And white women are feeling like black women today.
Oh.
As a result of the Oscar nominations, they're actually starting to feel our pain. It's not that the Oscars are so white. The Oscars are so not white women friendly, especially they're not feeling so not Barbie in favor of Barbie, the mega million gazillion dollar hit of the movie. The director, Greta Gerwig, was not nominated. and nor was Margot Robbie, who starred as Barbie, but he's just Ken. Ryan Gosling was nominated for this. And so it's just interesting to see what was going on. And they were both shut out for this movie that, still making a gazillion dollars.
And
And
Oppenheimer got everything, right? Like
Yeah.
Oppenheimer got nominated for everything. Yeah.
Oppenheimer got 12 or 13 nominations, and so they came out at the same time. They were calling it Barbenheimer and all that kind of stuff because they were such behemoth hits. But once again, the Academy Awards continue to disappoint Black women. Ava DuVernay was not nominated for what people said should have been another one of her Academy Award winning movies, and that is Origin. And nor was Ingenue Ellis, was she nominated for her role as a leading actress in the role of Isabel Wilkerson, who wrote the book upon which Origin was based. And of course, Black female directors have not had an easy time with this. Remember last year, they thought for sure that Gina Prince Bythewood was going to win for African, The Woman King. She was shut out, and DuVernay's Selma remains the only Best Picture nominee directed by a Black woman. And Halle Berry will still be another year as the only Black woman to win Best Actress, as The Color Purple's Fantasia was not nominated. But in the supporting category, Divine Joy Randolph of The Holdovers was nominated again, and she's won every award that she's been nominated for. She and Paul Giamatti for this movie. So she is nominated for Best Supporting Actress, as was Danielle Brooks, who played Sophia in the movie The Color Purple. That was the only nomination that The Color Purple got.
American Fiction, didn't it get a few
American
nominations?
Fiction got 5 nominations.
Yeah, 5
Oscars.
5 nominations. Oh,
came out like last week, right?
It
It's a good movie.
Well, it got to you last week.
No, Cameron. It came out in December, and it's still not in a theater near me. It's still not even in a theater. I'm in Atlanta. And it's not in a theater near me at all. I have to go.
Oh, you're missing out on Sterling K. Brown.
Well, that he got nominated. Sterling K. Brown got nominated. Jeffrey Wright got nominated.
Sterling K. Brown got nominated for that role?
Yes, he did.
I gotta go see this.
Yes, he did.
Just because of this.
Sterling K.
So the movie,
Oscars at those now.
So here, check out this part. Speaking of that, Cameron, Domingo. Hang on one second. It was Coleman Domingo won for Rustin. He was nominated for Rustin, and this for the civil rights activist Bayard Rustin made him only the second openly gay man to be nominated for playing a gay character. Oh. I don't know. So he has been nominated for Best Actor for Rustin, and only Ian McKellen for the 1998 movie Gods and Monsters was a gay man nominated playing a gay man. I should say openly, because
now I'm thinking of all of the closeted ones.
You're right.
Yeah. Not only that, it's not a stretch if you're already gay to play a gay man. So that's not a great
question. That's the question, right, Damon? Is how difficult was this part? If
right.
You're just living your truth.
If Mike Tyson played a gay character, then that would be an Oscar-nominated performance, right?
And he was just beating the living daylights out of himself, probably. Sterling K. Brown was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, along with Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling for Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo was also nominated. I think he was in Oppenheimer too.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that, but it's a really interesting mix and mishmash.
I like those boots. That's my gay Mike Tyson. See the tattoo?
That's your warrior.
I like those boots.
For those of you who are listening, that is Damon's giving a warrior tattoo on his face with his fingers.
Those boots are slamming.
Oh my gosh.
And there was also a young woman that was nominated for Killers of the Flower Moon. She was the first native-born American who was nominated for an Academy Award. So,
That's dope.
yeah,
Wow.
very
Really?
cool.
Wow.
Very
2024.
It's now on streaming, so I can now go see it.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. I'm finally hoping to see Origin soon. That's been a tough one to get to see in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Look, I'm just outside Atlanta. I don't know what's going on with these movies and the releases and the screens they're getting. Because when I saw the trailer for American Fiction, I'm like, I got to go see that.
Right.
I have to go see that. And
it's a great movie.
And it's just like that. I saw
Did you see the Book of Clarence?
I saw the Book of Clarence, which is a very good movie. I enjoyed that.
That is a great movie.
I really enjoyed the Book of Clarence. You didn't?
I hated it.
Same.
I can honestly say,
so
I should say what my friend Sean used to tease me about.
Really?
I didn't hate it, but I disliked it intensely.
I absolutely despise that.
And I liked American Fiction except for the very end. I liked it.
Same.
For the ending. Really? You too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Book of Clarence, I could have a discussion on that all day, just because, and I can understand why certain people don't like it, but it's just it's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot. Dude, we can talk about black art like all day. I can
for real. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but I can understand it, but I'm just like, wow, it was a lot. When I took it in, I'm like, they really went there. Okay.
I did something I never do in the movies, and I went to sleep.
Ooh.
I walked out. I was like, this is a waste of my time.
And man, if you had some gummies with you, I would have asked for those to get through that movie.
Oh man. Okay. All right.
No, but the thing is, like, this is a great thing because 40 odd years ago, everyone had to back every black piece of media that came out. We didn't have dissenting opinions.
Right.
Now there's so much of it. Now we get so many like diverse voices and genres. We can disagree. And I think that is wonderful. I think that is absolutely
that's also why we have
I'm
TV.
down with it. Yes. Owned by Fox.
Sorry.
Fox is giving us
Wait till you all discover the Maverick channel. It's all black everything, and it's movies that Tubi probably would not play. But my wife keeps it on one of our TVs continuously.
Really?
They have live programming as well as you can pick the films you want to watch, and it's blackity black. Most of those Detroit movies and the Memphis movies. Wait till y'all discover Maverick.
Oh, I'm going to check it out. Let's move to entertainment and somebody make me understand about, I know something's wrong with Kanye, but make me understand why he spent almost $1 million to have his titanium teeth, to have his teeth removed and replaced with titanium.
Makes sense to me.
It's probably a falsehood. He might still have his real teeth with a grill, but it's Kanye being Kanye. I mean, that's why he posted the picture of his fiance or his partner, her butt at the stove when there was no butt apparent. Talk about cream of wheat.
Their girlfriend, who was the comedian?
Sensari, whatever her name is.
Yeah. And the comedian said, "Now this is a girlfriend with a butt, you know." And oh yeah,
Tyrese trolled him.
Tyrese, yeah.
I mean, if financial irresponsibility was a person, it would be Kanye West.
Yeah.
And the next year he's going to say that he's broke. I'm like, because of that dental work. Man.
But you make a good point, Damon. You know, perhaps it just was a grill that he put in and looking like the James Bond villain. And
Sybil, I have a question for Damon before we go, real quick.
Okay.
What do you think about the debate between it wasn't Dion? It was
Dave Chappelle and D-Ray.
D-Ray, yeah, Dave Chappelle and D-Ray. What are your thoughts on that?
They both have valid points, and it's a point that's been overly stated and stressed that we need to move on beyond the Cat Williams Shay interview and get back to telling jokes.
Get back to what is that? What is that, Khameron?
I'm sipping my Club Shay Shay whiskey.
So,
And balancing with the girls.
So, Damon, explain the debate.
Giggity.
You and Ned, if you could explain.
So Chappelle came out and said that Cat was wrong because, you know, it's one thing we keep that type of criticism in house, and it's one thing to be critical. It's another thing that goes so far with it, and for him to ether, as he put, which is a term that Nas, when they had a beef with Jay-Z, ether Cedric the Entertainer when Cedric's just old fat guy, leave him alone. And he was being funny, and he did not realize, you know, Chappelle likes for cameras and phones to be taken from his performances. Right. But D-Ray's Monday Night allows phones, so that's how this all really came to the forefront. Right. But D-Ray stood fast on his point of saying he thought it was good for comedy overall because it's shining light on comedians. But then Chappelle, but he went too far, and that was the debate. And Med, you might have further commentary.
I don't really have any good. My thing is, I know you and I've talked on the radio about this, and we talked here about this, and I kind of fall in what you think. I'm like,
and that's where I take my cues too, man. Because Damon, this is
right.
It's my arena for sure, and these are my guys, and that's why I'm real, you know, diplomatic in my stance on it.
But when you and I talked, you did tell me that you like the fact that it's bringing light to comedy, black comedy, and you did say, but you also said, you know, Cat is being Cat, and that's what Cat does. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was an inflammatory situation. He waited for his opportunity to pounce after he watched everyone else's, and then he did it in such a way that it propelled, I'm sure, all of his ticket sales. And all of ours, because we were now being interviewed on radio stations. We now have people coming to the club waiting to hear what we're going to say about it.
Right.
So it was, that way it was certainly good for the industry overall. I just, you know, being personally involved and just coming off tour with 3 of his targets, you know, that made it kind of uncomfortable considering those guys. And I couldn't really say yay or nay because I just got in, right? So, you know. But the whole premise of people using other people's jokes, that's been going on since the beginning of time. The clip has surfaced with Red Fox stating that some of his material is being used by other comedians, and then now they're using it on television. There was nothing you could do about it. This is young Red too. So, you know, it's part of the game. It's just like now with music and sampling, you know, it's sort of intellectual property being infringed upon when you take the Marvin Gaye's kids versus the Robin Thicke. You know, he said he didn't steal it. They said they did it. So it's the same analogy for me. But like I said, overall, it gets people out to come and see Barbara Carlisle this weekend at Riddles.
Come on.
And I'll be at the Funny Bone in Cleveland, Ohio, Super Bowl weekend, which used to be an Improv. So there's that.
Awesome. Mrs. Davis said that Dave did not like the fact that Cat only went after Black comics.
He did say that. But, you know, those are the people, those are our colleagues. We don't really, Dave's the only one that associates.
But Cat went on and talked about all of like the redneck comedy tour guys and all of these that he had mad respect for, and, you know, working with them and all of that, and just condemned the Black comedians. In my opinion, that's what I heard.
Yeah, well, that was personal. Those attacks were personal. I mean, because out of no reason would you say a Fat Faison lie about a whole other topic.
Right, right.
You know, he was just roasting people, but that's what we do. And that's especially what Cat does. It just got blown to a proportion that I'm sure even he didn't suspect would take place.
Interesting. We could go on about this. The clock is not our friend. Khameron, you look great with your new shave and a haircut. So
thank you. I'm happy to join my brothers in the Shiny Head Club. Yes,
we're a unit now.
Yes, we are aligned.
3 out of 4. That's the way we're going to do this. Okay.
So pull your hair back.
I can. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great week. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and for joining in the conversation. And we'll see you all again soon. Safe travels.
No, Jewel.
Oh, thank you very much. Remind yourself, I am happy. I am happy. I am happy.
Yes, because I'm happy.
Come on. Bye, everybody.